settled communities and the shared commercial interests that Washington considered the only durable bond of political unions, and the foundation of the rising empire he had envisioned even before the War for Independence. The pursuit of agricultural improvement and exchange of scientific knowledge about farming promised to establish peaceful ties between the United States and European nations. Washington equated the promotion of agriculture with the cause of humanity. The story of Washington's life as a farmer fundamentally reshapes the familiar biography of the general and president. A commitment to agricultural improvement defined Washington's pursuit of private opportunities and his expectations for the new nation. The public example of farming at Mount Vernon reflected his ideals of leadership and civic responsibility. Farming framed much about his engagement with the world, near and far, in ways that extended well beyond the marketing of crops. Perhaps most significant, Washington understood slavery primarily through his management of agricultural labor and his recurrent efforts to adapt enslaved labor to new kinds of farming at Mount Vernon. An examination of Washington the farmer also offers a view of his personality and character barely glimpsed through study of his military or political career. Washington considered farming the activity best suited to his disposition, more rewarding than military service or public office, and his agricultural interests revealed a curiosity of mind and boldness of imagination that few discerned in other dimensions of his life. Agriculture was central to Washington's identity and reputation, and in his life as an innovative farmer, Washington defined a new role for an estate owner in an independent nation. Washington grew up in an agricultural society dominated by the production of tobacco that was sold on tightly regulated markets in Great Britain. By 1732, the year of his birth, the great tobacco planters who owned enslaved laborers and rich lands along Virginia's tidal rivers had gained tremendous wealth and controlled access to both economic opportunity and political authority within the colony. Even as many aspiring planters invested in new enterprises or increased their cultivation of grain, they continued to grow the tobacco that remained the most important means of obtaining British credit and manufactured goods. The tobacco trade with Great Britain also offered wealthy planters access to the center of the empire in the personal services of merchants who represented Virginians in legal matters and family business. For all of the many advantages of tobacco cultivation, however, the limits of colonial Virginia's economic success and the costs of its dependence on British trade would become evident to Washington by the time he assumed direction of his own agricultural estate. Washington's family moved when he was 3 years old from the farm where he was born in Westmoreland County to the later site of Mount Vernon, further up the Potomac. When he was 6, the family moved again to a farm in King George County across the Rappahannock River from Fredericksburg. With each move, Washington's father, Augustine, worked to increase the value of his investment in the land. Washington's earliest memories of farming were probably from the lands along the Rappahannock, where his father relied on enslaved laborers to cultivate tobacco and grains. Washington's mother, Mary Ball Washington, managed the farm during her husband's 2 trips to England, and again following Augustine's death in 1743, when the 11-year-old Washington inherited the property. Mary Washington controlled enough enslaved laborers to employ a white overseer, and under their management, one of the enslaved workers served as foreman of field hands as they continued to grow tobacco. For much of Washington's youth, his family faced a precarious economic position, but was always attentive to new prospects. Through his parents' connections with far wealthier planter families, and in the formative time spent with his older brother Lawrence at the expanding Mount Vernon plantation, the young Washington absorbed his first lessons in the successful management of an agricultural estate in Virginia.